Of Mesa. My name's Reverend Mindy Tucker. I'm a co-minister here. Our speaker is Reverend Nickie Golden. Our vocalist today is Cerise. Woo! Jenn Crandall is on the piano. Stephen Chavez is our board member of the day. Jean Arlotti is on platform, and you are here in person and online to be blessed by this loving, vibrant community that has a commitment to enlighten, empower, and energize every soul, every light on the planet. Unity is a movement, a worldwide spiritual movement that builds consciousness. It's a consciousness of love, joy, and peace, a consciousness that begins in the heart of God, but from God's heart to your heart. God's heart to your heart and to your heart. We soon have a community of hearts beating as one. And I want to invite you in this moment to tune into your own heartbeat, to feel that life force within you that is circulating new thought, new ideas in your consciousness, new ways of you expressing your divine nature. You are a beloved expression of God. You are here for a holy purpose, and you are always where you are by divine appointment. You are in the right place at the right time, right now. We make all these statements with integrity because Unity of Mesa has a guiding statement. It's a statement that we like to put in front of ourselves and have it lead us and light our way. It's a statement that we embody, and to share and lead us in that guiding statement is our platform person. She's not an assistant. Our platform queen, Jean Arlotti.
Thank you for bringing your love and light today. Know that your soul is welcome here. And to remind us of why we come together, let's say together our guiding statement.
We are here to experience more of the fullness of who we truly are in order to transform the world. All are welcome here. I'm going to invite you to stand as you are able and willing so that we can sing about choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing love today. I'm choosing love today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing love today. We're choosing joy. I'm choosing joy today. I'm choosing joy today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing joy today. Now we choose grace. I'm choosing grace today. I'm choosing grace today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing grace today. I choose compassion. I choose compassion today. I choose compassion today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I choose compassion today. We're choosing heaven. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing heaven today. I'm going to invite Jai Davis to come up. He is sharing the Youth and Family Ministries affirmation of the day, and he's going to invite us to embody that as well. All set?
With every breath, the peace of God flows through me.
And then are you going to invite everybody to say it with you?
With every breath,
The peace of God flows through me. Woo, thank you so much. Okay, so you know that you have a choice between pushing the button and doing it with your finger, and which push the button. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Let that have that affirmation sink into your body. Jai, thank you. And we're going to bless all the children as they go to their youth programs together. We're going to say, children, we love you. We bless you. We appreciate you. And we behold the Christ you are. Woo! Have a fabulous time. The last Sunday of the month we designate as Diversity Sunday because Unity of Mesa takes a look around at other world traditions, spiritual traditions, and looks at their holy days and their holidays. And then we look at some that are going on in our own great country. Isn't that interesting? Starting the 31st, tonight at sundown, regardless of what it says, it's Hijra. It's the beginning of the Islamic New Year. Now, they do celebrate like we do on the 4th of July with fireworks and all of that kind of stuff, but it is a day that marks the immigration from Mecca to Medina in the year 622 in our common era. Muhammad and his followers were persecuted, and there in this city that became known as the Enlightened City, they found peace, they found harmony, and they found a freedom to practice the faith the way they experienced God in the world. August 1st is Lunasa. It's also Lammas. It's a pagan, neo-pagan, and Christian day where it's the celebration of the first harvest, the first fruits. If you go back to biblical roots, the first harvest, the sacrifice of the first fruit, the sacrifice of the first male lamb, and all that, August 1st. Tish B'Av is a holy day in the Jewish tradition. It signifies and commemorates the day of the destruction of the first and second temple, which the Jews believe happened not on July 9th. Who proofread those? Okay, this is true August 15th. The Assumption of Mary, or the Domitian of Theotokos, it's the Assumption. It's when Mary ascended into heaven with her body and her soul united as one. Krishna Janmashtami is August 18th. It's the celebration of the birth of the 8th avatar or incarnation of Vishnu. He is worshipped and adored. Most Hindu homes have little clay statues, and sweets are given to children in celebration of Krishna's birthday. This Jain holy day comes as a part of an 8-day festival, but this day, Samvatsari, is a day of forgiveness. It's a day to take an inventory of the past year and make amends or set right anything that you feel that is not in alignment or feels good between you and your friends and your loved ones. Historic birthdays. Mariah is born, her birthday was 1818. On August 1st, she was the first woman astronomer in the United States. She was the first faculty member appointed to Vassar College. She discovered her own comet. But I think the most important thing or the coolest thing is that she discovered what sunspots were all about. The other picture is Matthew Perry. His birthday was on August 8th, and he was the first man. I need to be present. Did I say Matthew Henson? No. He was the first man to Admiral Perry, who did the Arctic explorations. And I need to be present. But I do know, okay, I'm back on track. August is the National Sandwich Month. So now we're on to important things. According to the Food and Drug Administration, a sandwich has to have at least 35% meat to be qualified as a sandwich, but not more than 50% bread. That aside, an average child in the United States consumes 1,500 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches by the time they graduate from high school. August is also back to school month. And next Sunday, Unity of Mesa is blessing backpacks of our children. So come prepared to bless our kids as they either have already started or are getting ready to start school. August 1st is National Mahjong Day. It's a game that Nickie and I enjoy playing. The 3rd is Watermelon Day. The 7th is Purple Heart Day. In the history of the United States, ever since George Washington awarded the first Purple Heart, almost 1.9 million Purple Hearts have been given out. So lots of amazing people giving life and doing heroic acts for our country. The 30th of August is Grief Awareness Day, and the 31st of August is Diatomaceous Earth Day. Diatoms are these little itty-bitty single-cell plants. They are considered the lungs of the earth because diatomaceous earth, produce over 85% of new oxygen. Now you know how diverse we are.
Somewhere deep inside, I felt darkness. Always searching for this place called heaven. Never knowing where to turn, then I realized that I've been searching too far from home. 'Cause this place called heaven is inside of me. Heaven is inside of me, the place I go where I'm always free. Heaven is inside of me, the place where God abides inside of me. So look into your soul and feel the Spirit. That place deep inside where you are whole. Spirit is right there. Don't you realize your soul's been waiting for you to arrive? 'Cause this place called heaven is inside of you. Heaven is inside of you, the place you go to find your truth. Heaven is inside of you. It's the place where God abides inside of you. Remember, God is always deep inside. So let God work through you. Then let God work in you as you. Heaven's everything we see. Everywhere we go, it's you and me. Heaven's everything we see. It's the place where God abides. It's the place where God abides. It's the place where God abides. As one are we.
Today. Thank you so much. Do you feel it? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Isn't it beautiful how music can uplift us? It reaches into a place in our hearts and in our brains that nothing else does, in a way that nothing else does. We're so used to words, and words uplift us. Have you ever had an experience where somebody said something affirmative to you, said something encouraging to you, and you felt uplifted? And have you had the other good? You know, where somebody said something to you, and it just felt like the balloon, all the air escaped out of the balloon. Have you had that experience too? So in Unity, our spiritual philosophy teaches that our words have power. Our words have the power to create. And it's actually in interaction with each other, it's a twofold kind of creation. We have an expression of our words, and somebody else receives that expression of our words. And so hopefully we're mindful of how we are expressing our words. And since I'm just going to talk about one-on-one, there's 200% responsibility in a one-on-one interaction. Then the other person has their 100% and we have their 100%. We don't have their 100%, actually. We have our 100%. But those of us who like to take more than 100% will try to take their 100%. So basically, we're like that in interaction, and it's a fascinating dynamic to observe. So our words have power. They also have intention. They have feeling, and they have an energy that flows through them. We can't always know what words that we use will trigger another person. And another person can't always know what words that they're going to use that are going to trigger us. But the beautiful thing is, because we know that words are creative, then we can do dialogue. We can interact in such a way that we can find the third way in our words if we choose to. And it's always a choice. I don't always like to think about it as a choice, because sometimes I just want to say, well, it's all his or her fault. Because, I don't want to take any of that 100%. And that's not uncommon, but our words do make a difference in our lives. In some families, research has shown that by the time a child is 4 years old, the amount of words that are discouraging are about 250,000. It's a lot of words. 250,000 discouraging words. And that lays the groundwork for how we see words. It lays the groundwork for how we feel words. And it lays the groundwork for how words impact us. That's a lot of discouraging words by the time one is 3 or 4 years old. But the beautiful thing is that we don't have to stay with those discouraging words. We can learn to share words in a different fashion. We can learn that we can be mindful of our words and we can be present in our interactions, so we're picking up not only the words that are spoken and the meaning behind those words, but words also often have a need behind those words. And I don't mean like a needy kind of need, but we're expressing something we desire kind of need with our words. And so when we're present to another person in our interactions, when we are what I call listening generously, and I always think I do this when I talk about listening generously, because I want to open my heart as wide as I can to be able to hear not only what's coming toward me in terms of words, but I also want to hear what I'm putting out in terms of words. And so I want to be mindful of my words, not only for the benefit of another person, but I want to be mindful of my words so that I can actually create that sense of heaven that I want to live in every single day of my life. The author of the book of James in the Christian scriptures control his tongue. Whoops, back one please. The one who can control his tongue can also control the rest of his body. That's here's a little piece of our body, but when we can control our tongue, we can control the rest of our body. And then James goes on, there's a verse in between. A word out of your mouth may seem of no account, but it can accomplish nearly anything or destroy it. Our words are powerful. Our words are powerful. They include self-mastery, our ability to control. They include our sense of concentration. I like the term mindfulness better because I have a little bit of trouble concentrating sometimes. But, mindfulness brings me back into knowing when I'm present and not present. And mindfulness can call me back in a way that doesn't trigger those elementary school statements from a teacher that says, are you just daydreaming? Did any of you get that? Are you just daydreaming? Because without daydreaming, we would not have those amazing and beautiful inventions that we have in this world, because we would have set ourselves into a box. But when we can open up to know mindfully where to navigate our words, where to navigate our world, then we are truly creating heaven. And it begins inside of us, because our consciousness is going to be expressed in our words. John Gottman, I just want to give you a visual. There's 5 plus signs and there's 1 minus sign here. John Gottman is a researcher at the University of Washington. He predominantly works with couples, but he's beginning to work with families some. What he suggests from his research is that for every, what he calls critical phrase that we use with one another, it takes 5, what he calls non-critical phrases. So I'm going to change that word around a little bit. For every time we engage in a blame statement, you know what those are. They start with you didn't pick up your socks. That's a blame statement. And maybe the person really didn't pick up their socks. And that is a fact on some level. but it's usually the tone of voice and the way it's said and the intention of there's something wrong with you is how it's heard. That's how it's received. Instead of, I don't like that the socks are on the floor. Would you be willing to pick them up? Different. You need to pick up your socks, and would you be willing to pick up your socks? But most of us have not been taught how to engage in these levels of communication that seem simplistic at times, but make a huge difference in the interaction that we have with people. Our words are powerful, and they can destroy or they can invite somebody into empowerment. They can energize us. Our words can enlighten ourselves. And the first place to begin is not out there. The first place to begin is always right in here. How do I speak to myself? What do I say to myself? Do I say to myself, oh, you're not enough? Or do I say to myself, I am enough? And I'm learning a new skill. And this new skill that I'm learning is a little bit challenging and it's a little bit difficult for me. And I'm learning it step by step. How do we talk to ourselves? Because how we talk to ourselves is going to be a whole lot about how we talk to each other. And how we talk to ourselves is going to tell us a whole lot about how we receive the words from others. Because we demonstrate at the level of our consciousness. And that's not only outflow, but that's also inflow. And personally, I find that exciting. Last week, I was teaching a class, and I had 2 Zoom rooms. Well, I was actually teaching 2 classes, but I had 2 Zoom rooms, one for one class and one for another class. So I'm not paying attention, and I hop in a Zoom room. It's time for class, and now it's 5 minutes. I'm thinking, where are my students? And the first thought that went through my head was, oh, I must not be a very good teacher. And they decided they're not going to show up for the rest of the week. That was the first thought that went through my head. But the beautiful thing is I caught the thought. I caught the thought. It's not good, bad, right, or wrong, but I caught the thought. Oh, look what you just said to yourself. And then soon the director of the school popped into the Zoom room I was in that I should have not been in. And she said, hey, Nickie, do you know you're in the wrong place? And so when I got into the right Zoom room, there they were. But what a beautiful gift for me. My words had power to impact how I felt about myself. And my first thought in that moment was a negative thought. And I caught it. And so I had an opportunity to work on that negative thought, to play with it. I am a really good teacher. And sometimes I'm not present and I end up in the wrong place. And I believe that this is why John Gottman is teaching us, hey, for every critical phrase that we use with another person, we need to recognize how that can be hurtful or disrespectful, and we may not even intend it, but if somebody doesn't say, hey, I felt awkward, I felt hurt, I felt disrespected when you say that, it's hard to come back and say, oh, I apologize. Let me affirm you, let me appreciate you, because we don't know it until somebody tells us. That's their 100%. My 100% is to be mindful of my words, to be very mindful of my words. And when we can learn how to play together in this way, we can truly develop a sense of respect and peace in the world. But it's a new thought. One of the exercises that Reverend Mindy and I have done for various times in our relationship that I think supports our relationship really well is we play a game. And we designate a period of time to play this game. And when I notice that I've said something that can be like blame or criticism, I'll stop and say, oh, I just caught myself, rewind, and I'll give 5 appreciations. I appreciate the way you listen deeply when I'm struggling with something, and I just give 5 appreciations. And it takes a few moments, yes, but it opens up this space of generosity and joy for love to flow between us again. And it's fun. And then we can get really competitive and outrageous with our appreciations and really, rock the world and see how wild we can be with appreciation. And it brings a sense of joy to us, and it opens up the space. But it has to be a genuine appreciation, because if you're seeking to open up a space with a disingenuous appreciation, it usually goes boom and falls flat. So Donna, would you be willing to change the slide again? So there are some ways to navigate our words that sometimes we haven't necessarily learned about. Words of encouragement. Instead of saying, "What's wrong with you? You should know this." How about, "How might I support and help you? How might I support and help you get this task done?" I really appreciate it when I'm struggling with time, which I like to do way more things than I have time for. When I'm doing that and somebody says to me, "Is there something I can help you with? Is there something I can do for you?" I'm like, "Thank you." Because that's words of encouragement. When I've messed up with something, and we all mess up regularly, it's no big deal. But if I make it a big deal, then it's going to be a big deal. And oftentimes, when I've messed up about something, I hear somebody's voice from my past in my ear. So now I have not only made a mistake here, but I've brought a voice from my past forward to tell me how much mistake I've made. And so I've exponentially doubled my difficulty. Has that ever happened to you guys? Yeah. And what we learn is that different people have a receptivity for different words of encouragement. What is a word of encouragement that opens your heart? Go ahead and just call it out. Love. I love you? Yeah. What's another word of encouragement? You rock. And then I heard something else over here. You're not alone. You're not alone. Yeah. One of the ways we like to play is, "Oops, I made a mistake, and I'm beautiful." Try it out. "Oops, I made a mistake, and I'm beautiful." Yeah, we make mistakes. Oops, it happens. And when we can play with those oopses, how much more fun can our mistakes be? And some people have said to me, "Oh, that means that I'm going to make more mistakes so I can have more fun." Why don't you find another way to have more fun other than mistakes? But you don't have to. We don't have to. And I'm really saying we because it includes me. We don't have to carry the baggage of mistakes, present or past, with us. It's an oops. It's simply an oops. So we're taking that energetic charge off the past between the ages of birth and 4, where we were given an energetic pattern of discouraging words, when we can within ourselves say, "Oops." It's an oops. "I wonder what I can learn from this," is a great phrase to ask ourselves. I wonder what I can learn from this mistake. I wonder. And when we're open to that, we're actually following unity principle to call forth the good. Words of understanding. People will say words, and there's all kinds of different words in the world. So oftentimes I'll say, "Will you help me understand what you mean by that? Will you help me understand?" Because what one person means, the picture that I put in my head may be totally different, and vice versa. So if we're willing to ask each other a little bit deeper and not just assume we know what's happening for a person, "Can you help me with this? Can you explain what you're saying?" Then what we're doing is engaging each other with empathetic responses. We're really beginning to connect at the heart because we're seeing the worldview of another person. And until we see that worldview, we're not going to be able to really connect heart to heart. Words of relationship. I enjoy our friendship. I like being in relationship with you. Thank you for taking the time to talk with me. It was fun. I enjoyed it. Words that invite further relationship. Because have you ever had the instance of talking to somebody and walked away and you wondered, oh, I had a good time, but did they? And we don't know until somebody tells us. And sometimes the truth is, I'm going to be having a good time, but they might not be having a good time. And then I know, well, that's not a connection that's probably going to move forward for me. Or I've had some friendships, not very many, but I've had some friendships that start out a little bit rocky. But if I'm curious and keep asking questions, all of a sudden it'll open up and the friendship seems to be in the flow for the first time. And then there's much more joy. We don't always understand what the energy is, and there's no way to understand somebody else's past unless they've shared their past with us. And most of us, thankfully, don't walk around with seeing ourselves as wounded and saying, hey, this is my wound, so stay away from it. And then there's some people in the world who are going to push it because somebody said that, push that button. So thankfully, we don't do that. We have more open-hearted experience. I want to share, and then words of accountability. It is respectful to hold each other accountable, to say, I felt uncomfortable, and notice the terminology, the I statements. I felt uncomfortable when you said that to me. I felt happy when you said that to me, which is the other side of accountability. And we don't always do that. Sometimes I feel shy when I want to say something that's really positive to somebody, and I think, what if they're uncomfortable in hearing it? Yeah, I feel shy. But I've learned to go ahead and say that, hey, thank you for saying what you said, because I felt my heart opening up. But sometimes that can be awkward. It can be awkward for me, and it can be awkward for the other person. And when we get familiar, when we begin to have the habit of being accountable on both ends of the stick or both ends of the spectrum, it becomes a natural, normal, everyday thing. And it can be a lot more fun. I want to tell you the story about a young warrior who came into a village. This village had a great master in it. And the young warrior came in and he challenged the master to a battle. And the master said, okay. And the master's students were a little bit concerned. But they listened because that's their master. And so the date and time of the battle was set, and the master and the young warrior show up. And the master stands there. And the young warrior, he was known for his ability to wait for somebody else to make the first move in battle. And then when the other person made the first move in battle, he saw that as a level of weakness and would swoop in with his laser-like vision and comprehension, and he would move to that person's weakness, and then he would win the battle. So he has challenged this great master, and they're squared off, and the master is standing there. And the young warrior begins to hurl insults, and the master stood there. And the young warrior continued to hurl insults, and the master stood there. And then, taking it a step further, the young warrior picked up dirt and threw on the master, and the master stood there, calm and centered. And then the young warrior began to spit on the master, and the master stayed calm and centered. And this went on for hours and hours and hours in this one day of the battle. And all the master did was stay calm and centered. And the young warrior gave up, turned around in shame, and walked away. And the master's students gathered around him and they said, Master, what did you do? And he said, I want you to think about this. When somebody comes to give you a gift and you do not receive that gift, whose gift is it? It took me a while in reading that story to recognize the gift. What is the gift in that story? It was the master's ability to stay centered, to stay calm, the master's ability to know who and what he is. He was the master. And here's somebody challenging his authority, challenging his power. I want you to think for just a moment of what you might have done. I don't know if I could have stood with the insults, the dirt, and especially when it gets to the spitting part. I don't know if I could have done that. But I would never know until the moment comes. But when we have practiced the knowingness and the skills of words of encouragement, words of understanding, words of a relationship, and words of accountability, then we have an energetic practice that begins us already in the flow of learning how to stand. In Unity, we talk about living in our divine nature. When I know that my nature is divine and I'm willing to stand fully or as fully as I can in any moment in that, then I'm like the great master in the village. But when I don't know who I am and I feel the need to go and, upset some apple carts and show my power, that's power over versus power with, then I'm going to need to try to strut a little and show what I can do and say, hey, I'm undefeated and I'm going to defeat you and then I'll really be undefeated. When we need to do that, in whatever ways that we need to do that, we're out of alignment. The word power in metaphysically means self-mastery or self-control. It's the ability to bring our thoughts, our feelings, and our intentions into alignment with our divine nature. Power is self-mastery. It's that ability to look at ourselves and say, oh, I have an issue here, and I know I have this issue because when somebody said something to me, that issue got triggered. It raised its head and said, hello, Nickie. It just got triggered, and that's all that happened, is it simply got triggered. And then my choice is, do I look at that and own it? Oh, look, a part of me that's unhealed is expressing itself, and I'm willing to embrace it. I'm willing to explore it. I'm willing to make friends with that part of myself. Or am I going to say it's all your fault? And that's what we've learned to do, is say it's somebody else's fault. But when we can really embrace it and look at, what do I need to learn here? What can I learn here? When I look at what part of me is not seeing myself as whole, then I have an opportunity to navigate new waters. And I can go find some support, or I can read a book, or I'll watch a video, and however way I do it. And then what happens as I'm working on that energetic response is that the next time it comes up, I have no Velcro for it. Something has shifted. And it may take 3 days or 3 years or 30 years. That doesn't matter. Noticing the shifts. Recognizing, just like I did, oh, there's a thought inside of me that thinks I'm not a very good teacher. Oh, that's just a thought. And as Louise Hay would say, and a thought can be changed. Those are just words. So words are simply the expression of the thoughts that we're already experiencing within us. And to me, it's a joy. Doesn't always feel good in a moment, but it's a joy to be able to discover those parts of me that feel unhealed. And then to look inside, but to also look around me. Because right after that occurred with the class, all of a sudden, the memes I saw on Facebook, the songs that came before me, spoke of my gifts, spoke of my talents. So when I'm willing to look past what feels unhealed in me, that thought, then what starts to show up is things about success, things about teaching, things about giving information in a way that other people could hear it started to show up. How exciting is that? Because it's always there. It's always there. The love that we seek, the desire for encouragement, the desire for understanding, the desire to be in relationship. and even the desire to be held accountable is always present. It's present because it starts within us before we were ever born, according to the prophet Jeremiah, and it continues with us. Our job, if we choose to accept it, is to simply enhance it, to simply be vulnerable with each other, to be willing to say, oops, I made a mistake, or to say, oh, sometimes I have that quality, and I'm willing to take a look at it, and I'm willing to love myself while I'm taking the look at it. Accountability. We get feedback all the time. It's just another word for feedback, but the universe is giving us feedback all the time. If I were to walk out on the asphalt without my shoes, I would get some feedback. I would get some feedback. If I touch the car when it's been in the sun, I'll get some feedback. If I get snappy with another person, I get some feedback. I'm grateful for that feedback. It doesn't always feel good, but I'm grateful because it opens up the space for something new to come through. And when we can delight in that, and that takes practice, then our words are opening up the power, both spoken and received, are opening up the power that's already within us to create that state of heaven, to create it right here and right now. Would you change the slide, please? Charles Fillmore says, every time we speak, we cause the atoms of the body to tremble and change their places. Not only do we cause the atoms of our own body to change their position, but we raise or lower the rate of vibration and otherwise affect the bodies of others with whom we come into contact with. We raise or lower the rate of vibration. To me, that's exciting because when I come in here on Sunday morning, I want to come in ready and open and excited to see you. And I hope that you are coming in ready and open and excited to receive what is here for you. And also to bring your presence, to bring your understanding, to bring your divine nature. So as we live and move and breathe, we are definitely doing it as the divine individuals that we are. And we're also doing it in a way that radiates forth from this place and invites others to do the same. We don't have to go out and preach, and there's nothing wrong with going out and telling other people about what a great place Unity of Mesa is, but we can live it. And people will come to you and say, I see heads nodding, people will come to you and say, there's something different about you. What is it? Are you willing to share? And then we can use our words to invite other people to have the same experience of the divine that we get to have. I mean, to me, that's a hallelujah. It's a hallelujah. There we go. Hallelujah. That's a hallelujah. Because what we're doing is we're inviting others into the energy of uplifting. And this world sometimes just needs that. It just simply needs that. So that's what Jesus talks about when Jesus says, we are the light of the world. Light is a form of spiritual intelligence, metaphysically. So we are offering our spiritual intelligence by being mindful of our words, by giving and receiving the energy of our words. Jesus, after Judas had betrayed him, was called before Pilate. And he gets taken in. He was captured and he gets taken in to Pilate's, chambers. And there's all these high priests and other elders that are in there. And Pilate says to him, you call yourself the king of the Jews. Remember, there's a king already, a Roman emperor. And Roman emperors don't like to be challenged, which was part of what made Jesus so radical. And Jesus said, if you say so. In some translations and in other translations, Jesus says, yes, I am. And the high priest and the elders begin to hurl insults. Who do you think you are? You're seditious. You're a wannabe. You're a wannabe king. You're a rebel. All kinds of things. And I'm just being nice. I mean, this is church and all, but this is happening. And Jesus stands there, just like the great master did. Jesus stands there, and he says nothing, and he does not defend himself. He stands in the knowingness of his own power. He stands in the knowingness of his oneness with God, whom he calls the Father. He stands in the knowingness of who he is. So one of the things that I remember, and I invite you to remember, is that when something happens in the world and I feel like somebody is shooting verbal darts at me, how do I stand in the knowingness of my divinity? Am I willing to do that? And all I have to do is be willing, and it will begin to happen. And Pilate was observing, and he watched Jesus not defend himself. He watched Jesus simply be calm and present in any moment. I believe we're called to that in this world, to find out how to live fully in our divinity and to be called to live it no matter where we are. Cerise is going to come and she's going to sing in the silence. Let this flow over you as we move into a time of meditation.
In the silence, there is a sacred place, a secret meeting place. Love is there. In the silence, where every color blends and every rainbow wins, good is there. In the light, now you find that you know peace of mind. In the silence, your path is paved in gold, and all your dreams unfold. Love is there, peace is there, truth is there, God is there.
And in that place of silence, who am I? Ask yourself that question. Who am I? And who did I come here to be? Ask yourself, how do I use my words? And am I willing to look at them first with how I use them for myself? And secondly, how do I use my words with others? Am I open to the learning of the feedback that returns to me? And I'm open to knowing it's simply feedback. That it may have something to do with me and it may have nothing to do with me. It may have something to do with someone else or something else. And when I know who I am and what I am, when you know who you are and what you are, just as the great master did, just as Jesus did, as we stand in that knowingness, as we live from that consciousness, the wisdom is present for us to know the difference. Is this mine? Is there something I need to change? Is this someone else's? Is this the world's, the collective consciousness right now? And all I need to do is stand in my power, stand in my self-mastery, stand in my self-control, stand in the knowing of whose I am and what I am. What a joy to even begin to explore. Let's take those thoughts into the sacred and holy silence. Quietly and gently hear the voice that is your divine nature speaking to you. Hear it say to you, you are enough. Hear it say to you, you are love. And you are loved. Hear it say to you, you are whole already. There is something radically right about you. Well done. No matter what the voices of the past are, well done. Well done. And I'm going to ask the lights to come up and hold that knowingness that you are whole in your heart. Hold that knowingness. The next time somebody says something that your snap turtle wants to come out, remember, I am whole. I am complete. I am perfect as I am. There's something radically right about me. Stephen's going to take it away.
We are abundantly blessed at Unity of Mesa. Speaking of what Nickie was speaking about, thinking about power of words. My word, I don't know if under Whitestone ceremony, my word was trust. So right now I'm just going to take the time and trust myself, trust my energy. We know that when we connect to Source and we give from Source, we graciously add to the things that we love in our lives and what we want to give in our lives. Some of us it's time, some of it's talent, some of it's treasure. And we know that we can only be the hands and feet of the love that we want to see in the world. I don't know why I'm getting emotional, but there you go. So, and we are not currently giving love offerings, currently passing out bags, but there are many ways to give at Unity of Mesa. We have the red buckets. There you go. There's that red bucket. We have the Banco mobile app. We give online, and we can also mail a check to Unity of Mesa, and you can text. I guess that's another option. So let's take our gifts, whether it is time, talent, or treasure. Hold it in your hearts and minds, and divinely, let's we dedicate and consecrate these gifts to the greatest expression of spirit in our lives, and let's together say the offering blessing. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. We greatly bless the givers and the gifts. Thank you.
Won't you say yes, yes, yes? Won't you say yes, yeah, yeah? Won't you say yes? God does the rest. Won't you say yes, Yes, yes. Once you say yes, yes, yes. Once you say yes, yes, yes. Once you say yes, God does the rest. Once you say yes, yes, yes. When it seems like you're struggling just to make it through, there's not enough time in the day to do what you've got to do. Remember that God is just a prayer away, making your dreams come true. But you don't get nothing, no you don't, until you say yes. Yes, yes, once you say yes. Yes, yes, once you say yes, yeah, yeah. Once you say yes, God does the rest. Once you say yes, yes, yes. I know you've been trying to find the way to go. All of your life you've tried to find your pot of gold. Remember that you get what you're putting out. You reap what you have sown, so you can quit trying. Yes, you can. And just say yes, yes, yes. Once you say yes, yes, yes. Once you say yes, yeah, yeah. Once you say yes, God does the rest. Once you say yes, yes, yes. It seems like you're searching just to find your way. You can't seem to keep your mind away from yesterday. Remember that no one ever made a life without living for today. So keep on keeping on. Just say yes, yes, yes. Once you say yes, yes, yes. Once you say yes, yes, yes. Once you say yes, God does the rest. Once you say yes, yes, yes. Once you say yes, yes, yes. Once you say yeah, yeah, yeah. Once you say yes, God does the rest. Once you say yes, yes, yes. Once you say yes, God does the rest. Once you say yes, yes, yes. Once you say yes, God does the rest. Once you say yeah. Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Cerise. Thank you, Jenn. Thank you, Reverend Nickie. Thank you. Oh, and thank you for joining us online. You are a vital part of Unity of Mesa.